This is the perfect outcome. We have a shocking announcement as the Clippers are moving on from Chris Paul in his final NBA season in what can only be described as the most disrespectful move in basketball history. But this gives the Thunder a chance to reunite with a beloved player that could create a storybook ending for all parties involved. Can't believe that I'm making this video here today. We've got to talk about a major NBA update going on around the NBA landscape. An announcement that dropped just after midnight last night about Chris Paul and his future in his final season of the NBA, and how the Thunder have the chance to do something truly special and why it actually makes sense for all parties involved. Welcome into Thunder Digest. I am Ryan Breeden. I hope you guys are having a great day today. I appreciate you for stopping by on the channel. While you're here, if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button, we're on the road to 8K subscribers. We're about 1,300 away from that. We're trying to get there by the All-Star break. I would appreciate your guys' help, and we're going to be getting content for you guys every single day here on the channel. So you want to be in the loop on what's going on with the Thunder, make sure that you subscribe because this is the place to go. Me and Gabriel are making videos for you guys every single day here on the channel. So, last night, just after midnight, Chris Haynes, an insider for the NBA, released this update that I think just kind of blew everybody's mind because of how unexpected it was. Los Angeles Clippers are sending home future Hall of Fame point guard Chris Paul in a bizarre severing ties move, league sources tell Chris Haynes. So the Clippers were on the road, on a road trip, and basically the general manager flew out to meet the team, told Chris Paul, listen man, we don't want you being around the team anymore. We're done with this. Even though it's your final season in the NBA, you're going to retire, become a Hall of Famer. You are one of the greats in our franchise. We're going to send you home and help you figure out what you want to do between now and the end of the season. Obviously, this is just baffling to do to any player, let alone to Chris Paul, what he gave to the Clippers in their Lob City era that they had with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. This is just embarrassing for the Clippers, for that organization, on top of the whole scandal they have going on with Kawhi Leonard right now. This is just a ridiculous move by an unserious franchise, the worst pro organization in sports, clearly showing again why they're the most inept team out there, not only on the court but off the court in their handlings of their players. This is just a stupid move. I cannot believe the Clippers would do this to somebody like Chris Paul. A little bit of details on this, aside from him being parted ways with. The team will work with him on the next step of his career. To give you a little bit of insight on that, we'll go to this report. Essentially what has happened, some details that have been brought to light from some former players, Lou Williams being one of those, others that have been close with the situation. They said Chris Paul was very critical of the Los Angeles Clippers players, coaches, and the front office. Obviously, it's been a very bad season for the Clippers this year. They're 5-16. The Thunder have a chance to get a top 4 pick, maybe even the number 1 overall pick, because they own that Clippers pick. Even though Chris Paul apologized for ruffling some feathers, explaining that he wanted to see changes that were best for the success of the team, the front office had enough and they sent him home during a road trip. So Chris Paul, his era in Los Angeles is done. The season that he announced as his retirement tour is cut short, at least in Los Angeles. And this is what he had to say about that last night as well. Just found out I'm being sent home with the peace out emoji. This is just absurd treatment for a former star. This would be the equivalent of the Thunder signing Russell Westbrook for a final season here in a few years and then just releasing him halfway through the season. Now, maybe not on that scale because the Thunder were more successful than the Clippers were during that stint when Russ was with the team, but it's still the same type of thing. Chris Paul's beloved with that organization, with that fan base, so for them to treat him this way is absolutely ridiculous. But this is what Shams had to say. A leadership style clash with the Clippers. Chris Paul had been vocal in holding management, and essentially, Ty Lue was not on speaking terms with Chris Paul for several weeks leading up to this separation. So a very messy split in a saga that just ends now in the most embarrassing way possible. But with this whole separation, with this whole divorce, this gives the Thunder an opportunity to do something truly special, and that is reunite with a former beloved figure in this community, in this city, not only for the 2019 season when the Thunder had a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs before the season started, and then Chris Paul led the Thunder all the way to Game 7 in the bubble, taking a prime James Harden Houston Rockets to Game 7 of that playoff series, able to win this Game 6 with Chris Paul essentially carrying the team on his back. CP3 was balling out, and he not only did that for the Thunder, but obviously also played that season where the New Orleans Hornets were impacted by Hurricane Katrina. They moved to the Ford Center in OKC. The community and the NBA saw the Thunder were able to actually sustain an NBA team during that season when they held the Hornets there with a rookie Chris Paul. And that was the direct cause to the Thunder becoming a permanent franchise in Oklahoma City. The NBA saw the Thunder could strive. They saw that a team could thrive there. The Supersonics moved on in not too long after that. So without Chris Paul, there's a lot of things that would be different about Thunder basketball history overall, so this move makes so much sense, and it goes even further beyond this as well. The relationship that Chris Paul has with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the relationship that he has with players like Lu Dort, it is such a prominent factor in what makes SGA as good as he is. This was shown in the Netflix documentary that came out a few months ago. Chris Paul still very close with Shai, even though they're not teammates anymore. They said they talk regularly. This is them at the dinner table together on a road trip when you had Chris Paul in town, going over to Shai's house and just eating dinner with him and his family. And Shai has had a lot of really good things to say about this relationship that he has with CP3 as well, calling him a brother, not just a friend, somebody that he's always there to lean on, the first guy that you can be close with to really, talk about things not only with basketball, but also business advice, body advice, taking care of a family. So many things that are important for young basketball players to learn. Chris Paul was that mentor for SGA back when he still looked like he does right here that you see on the left. Back when Shai was still a young player trying to figure out his skill set, find his role in the league, and he had said that he's always been there for him as a friend, and that he's been special. And Lu Dort said something very similar. He said what he did here, even for a year, was just crazy. Left his mark, even bought Lu Dort an iPad that he still uses for film to this day. CP3 makes everybody around him better. I remember being at a game that year where the Thunder were playing the Timberwolves. Chris Paul caught an untucked jersey and ended up being a technical foul. The Thunder were able to win the game as a result of that, and I was there for that. He just has an insane IQ for the game. And he's the guy that you'd want to have around. So you may be thinking, Ryan, how could this even make sense? How could the Thunder get Chris Paul to Oklahoma City this year? Well, let me tell you, there is a couple of ways you can go about doing this. The first way is with this rule right here, an exception, basically a disabled player exception. This is an exception granted by the league. This is straight from the CBA, by the way. So this is all right on their collective bargaining agreement. If you want to dive deeper into that, you can. Based on the application from NBA designated physicians, fitness to play panel, you can submit these requests, and this is basically what they are. If this is granted, the team can acquire an extra player via free agency signing, trade, or waiver claim to replace the disabled player. So what is a disabled player? Well, a disabled player is somebody that cannot play for an entire season. For extraneous circumstances can be an injury like what Chet Holmgren had his rookie year. He got that same exception, so the Thunder have used this before. You've got a couple players on the roster right now that you could very realistically put under this situation. Thomas Sorber, who's obviously out for the season, has not played at all. And unfortunately, Nikola Topic as well with his cancer diagnosis. Hate that he's dealing with all of that. They did say the diagnosis seems favorable for him, but it would be unlikely that you'd expect him to come back anytime soon. So if you're essentially a player that cannot play anytime between when you file the waiver through June 15th of that next year, then you can get this waiver granted. With this waiver, the team may sign a free agent for one season only for 50% of the disabled player's salary. You may also trade for a player that is in the last season of his contract. Chris Paul's on a one-year deal with the Clippers to come back for his retirement tour. Now he is being let go, so that would make sense for all sides. Teams can apply for this exception from July 1st of the league year to January 15th. It is December 3rd today, so the Thunder have a little over a month and a half, or I guess a little bit less than a month and a half, to apply for this waiver, and if they were to get it, they would have a roster spot that would open for Chris Paul. You could bring him around, and let's not bluff anybody here. Chris Paul's not going to be in town to make plays like I showed you in that video earlier. He's not going to be averaging 20 points a game. He's hardly a factor for the Clippers right now. He would strictly be essentially a Udonis Haslem type of role, where he's there to mentor, to help your players grow and get better. There's a lot of young talent on this team that still needs to get better. Cason Wallace could really benefit from a guy like Chris Paul being around in the locker room. A lot of the other young stars could do the same thing as well, like what Shai and Lu Dort had. Now, if you weren't able to get this waiver, The other possibility, and it's not one that would be great, would involve Ousmane Dieng, who is really kind of wasted away in the 4 years of his young NBA career, was a lottery pick back in 2022. It obviously has the raw skill set, has the size, but he just hasn't found a role with this Thunder team. And at what point, especially looking at the contract situation that he has, which it will expire at the end of this season, he will become a restricted free agent after 25-26. At what point do you decide, you know what, maybe it's best if we let Ousmane Dieng try to find his role somewhere else in the league? That would be the other way that you would open up a roster spot to then bring in Chris Paul to essentially just be a mentor for the roster, try to compete to win that elusive championship that he's been trying to get throughout his entire career, the championship he wasn't able to win with the Clippers when they had the high expectations and he went in his prime, the expectations they had to win a championship with the Rockets when he was with James Harden. It just never really worked out for CP3. He was a product of a lot of bad luck, but this would be the opportunity for the Thunder to bring him back in and help him finish off a career that is no doubt a Hall of Fame career with a storybook ending in Oklahoma City. Let me know what you guys think down below of this move. First of all, obviously the Clippers are an embarrassment of an organization. We all know that, and the Thunder are capitalizing off of this. Let me know what you think, and do you want Chris Paul in Oklahoma City? Do you like the idea of that? I would assume most of you do, but let me know down below specifically what you guys think. Leave a like on the video as well, and again, subscribe if you would like. 6,707 subscribers right now. We're trying to hit 8K by the All-Star break. I would appreciate it if you guys could help us get there. Thanks for watching, and again, we'll see you guys next time here on Thunder Digest.